Trench Crusade is xenophobic and racist. Hey, you won't find me uttering any objections. After all, as Napoleon said, don't interrupt your enemy whilst they're making a mistake. And Trench Crusade in, shedding about, 62.2k followers on Twitter, down to 9.2k on Blue Sky, 80% odd of their actual follower base. I'd count that as a pretty solid mistake myself, and all of it to gain access to that vaunted, wider modern audience, who are now busy calling them racists. Silence notwithstanding, I do feel a certain urge to point and laugh at their clear idiocy, however, so let's have a look at this, shall we? The argument for why Trench Crusade's new map is xenophobic and racist. Now, I will be complaining a bit about the map myself, not because it's racist, but because it's really stupid and incredibly poorly thought through, but we'll get to that in a moment. So, Kaleo here, who incidentally already has me blocked. I don't remember ever having so much as seen this person before, but such is the price of popularity, I do suppose. And thank you, Elon Musk, for still allowing me to see posts from people who have me blocked. This way, they can't hide their idiocy from me anymore. Thank you, Elon. Anyways, sorry followers, I'm gonna rant a lot about this because I really think this needs to be criticized. This is xenophobic, this is racist, this is disrespectful, and in this day and age, more than ever, it needs to be called out. Yes, because Trench Crusade did pick the absolute perfect time to skip on over to the premier child molester platform, Blue Sky, just as the right itself is in clear ascendancy and the left is growing more vicious than ever. Oh well, again, Napoleon and all that. Let's start for the origins of the Hordes. I know Jerusalem's origin because blah blah the ultimate sin, and he had the concept of holy place being the star of the invasion's a cool subversion, but this is a real place tied with real religions and cultures. Half of North Africa fell, and half of the Middle East. The whole setting is clearly using Abrahamic mythology for their lore, but why leave the mainly Christian Europe almost intact? Probably because Europe is not near Jerusalem? Compare the conquerors, the demons, who did they let keep their cultures almost untouched. It's weird. The three places the demons have also conquered aside from their main holdings are Gibraltar, the known gates from Africa to Spain, Slovenia, Croatia, Bosnia, Herzegovina, Albania, and Kosovo, the disliked and considered inferior parts of Europe by their rich neighbors, also Muslim parts, incidentally. That and the most known part of Finland, but mostly on Russia. Random ass place that they could put a demon horde where the most affected is the wilderness. It's clear this place were chosen so the European faction had something close to fight. But the place chosen are biased. That is correct. She even goes here. I think this is a massive stretch. I'm not sure how it can be racist. This is another person. You're implying that the designers are trying to insinuate that the people of these our areas are demons or prone to worshipping demons? Yes, that is what I'm implying. That can't be interpreted. Well, there you go. It's like, hold on. Are you saying that the developers of Trench Crusade are accusing all Muslims of being demon-worshipping savages? Yes. Well, this is your audience now, Trench Crusade. Enjoy. Again, this is what they shed 80% of their established audience for. Being called racists and just actually unironically outright evil. Good job. Now, if you will forgive me, I do have to complain a bit about the map myself as well, because this is one of the laziest goddamn grimdark maps I have ever seen, honestly. First and foremost, I agree with our little leftist here that this is a random effing spot to place a random gate to hell, which apparently isn't even a proper gate to hell. It just kind of appears and disappears occasionally. The only reason why this region was made as a point of demonic invasion is literally to allow the northern parts of Europe to have something easy to fight. That's it. That is the only reason why that exists. To have something convenient to attack. Now, Avignon, I do actually like, because of course that was the historical seat of the anti-popes, when the Pope hid out in France for, what, quite a while anyways. Blowing up Yugoslavia? Top notch. Nobody's gonna complain about that. Or, well, actually, I kind of am. See, here's the problem. Trench Crusade as a setting makes no sense. It is the laziest form of lazy grimdark that gives no consideration whatsoever to what it actually means to have a setting like this. So these are all the conquests the demons made for 800 years. The majority of that time, they were fighting people with sharp sticks and spears, yet they have conquered practically nothing. In fact, this isn't even a constant whole. This one just opens up occasionally, discourages, prompts out a few demons here and there, and then they're immediately beaten back a bit again by Finland, Sweden, and Norway. Why are we afraid of this demonic invasion again? And the usual excuses about, oh, it's because the demons are infighting, oh, it's because they don't care, oh, it's because time flows differently. Okay, so it's just the Eye of Terror. It's literally just the Eye of Terror, is what you're telling me. Hell isn't actually a threat. It's not a danger to anybody. It is a plot contrivance that exists solely to maintain a status quo of, oh my god, the world is in danger! But nothing's ever actually happening, so we can continue to, have this tabletop setting forever. Boring. Boring. Goddamn boring. Especially on a planetary basis, at least if you're doing this on, a galaxy basis, there are all kinds of additional stories you can tell, but here, kind of stuck. It's like, oh, the demons attacked New Antioch again. Oh, cool. Are they going to take it this time? No, because if they did, our plotline would be unraveled. And hey, I'm not even defending 40k here. 40k has its share of problems as well, but just this map too. Okay, so the demons are in Gibraltar, and they're over here in Yugoslavia, okay? Now, the only demon gate is here in Jerusalem. How are they supplying these areas? How are the demons getting, food, water, ammunition, new tanks, aircraft, supplies? Are they all producing it locally? Is Gibraltar a major center of demonic manufacturing? Is it? And why hasn't Christianity just crushed these goddamn places? Humanity has been at war for 800 years here. Humanity has jet fighters in this world. Why haven't we invented nukes and blown them off the map yet? Why haven't we simply created an enormous number of cannons and systematically bombarded this entire place off the fucking map? Why are we allowing them to be resupplied? I mean, okay. A heretic navy, which supposedly rules the sea, by the way, yet still they found necessary to invent submarines for some mysterious reason. The heretic navies rule the sea, despite having no control over any of the islands in the Mediterranean Sea, meaning that there is uno, dos, tres, cuatro, 5 in Spanish, unsinkable aircraft carriers with jet planes on them, sitting on the path to any of the other areas controlled by hell. How on God's good earth is any kind of convoy getting through here without being sunk to shit? Are they supplying them solely through submarines? Have we not invented sonar yet? Depth charges? What? Christianity has a space program in this universe. It's ridiculous. Not to mention, metallurgy is vastly more sophisticated in this world, that apparently can create cannons twice the size of the Schwere Gustav and 3 times its better length with no issues whatsoever. You telling me we couldn't simply just place enormous goddamn ship bombardment cannons on these islands, for example, or Gibraltar to just pummel it into dust and shit? Is there no way we can close this strait here with bombers? It's idiotic. Not to mention the demons themselves. Demons can't even exist on the mortal plane here, except when, the Lord demands that they can do so in the far north, apparently. Because if they do pop up into reality, that means that God will be like, okay, all rules are off. It's time for Armageddon to commence, which is why the demons don't do that. Okay, fair enough. But that still means the demon gate in the north is fucking idiotic, because the only other servants they have are the mortal servants. The mortal servants hemmed in these tiny bumfuck areas. Okay, I want to point out too here, these areas do not consist of that many people. Even if the demons are consistently carrying out massive orgies with drugs and demon-fueled nonsense for their mortal followers, they are going to be horrifically outnumbered by everybody else, who is now waging war solely against the demons. Not to mention, this is 1914, the beginning of agricultural revolutions. The population of Germany alone at this point was like 50 million plus people, okay? There is going to be something like a 10 or 11 to 1 advantage on the good guy side of this conflict. They could literally afford to simply just overrun with sheer force of numbers the heretic defenders. And that's even if we ignore the idea that the heretics defenders themselves, the heretic legions, can only be recruited from mortals that have traveled all the way to the Hellgate and then seen it in person, which means wandering into a literal furnace that is capable of scorching the skin off your body. Basically, the heretics are vastly outnumbered in this universe, crushingly, devastatingly so. It would be a miracle if there is one heretic soldier for every 20th faithful. And that is also including, of course, the idea that you need to feed those soldiers. You need agriculture, you need access to clean water, you need access to shelter, lest they simply die, etc., as the heretic troopers are still merely just mortals in the service of hell. This entire setting makes no sense and is lazy as everlasting shit, because they haven't taken into consideration any of the real life... You know what? No. I could have a whole video on this, which would probably be like 30 minutes long, unironically. I could complain about the countless idiotic little lore inconsistencies of this universe for half an hour easy, because they have given not a picoseconds of consideration to how any of this would work with modern weaponry. They've simply decided to take demons, because edgy and scary and grimdark, and slap them down in 1914, because, well, that's kind of a cool setting. And you know what? If that is all they did, if they just oh yeah, it's 1914, there's demons over there, World War I, there's front lines in Europe, etc., blah blah blah, I would have just shrugged and gone okay, sounds cool to me. Instead, they try to make a lore around it. They make a nonsensical map like this, and they try to think of reasons that just don't actually work for why it's supposed to be this way. They're not racist, however. They're not, nor are they simply outright evil. They're just kinda stupid, and they have picked a lazy plot device to be their primary hook, as the primary hook of Trench Crusade is simply, oh look, demon! And then hopefully your brain will go, oh, that is pretty cool. Let me just turn off the rest of my brain for a moment and go, oh, demon. Hey, I'm a fan of 40k. It too has countless logistical problems like this. And again, this isn't even me defending 40k, but at least 40k does try to talk about this. 40k does explain how chaos-held worlds are run. It does explain that they do indeed have agricultural industry. They do indeed have ways to feed vast armies using, in essence, warp-powered crops, or particularly spliced versions of mutagenic crops that drain the soil, allowing them to, in essence, pilfer planets and move the food over to feed their countless armies, whilst keeping other planets in pristine condition by raiding the resources from captured planets, both denying them to the Imperium and strengthening themselves. Whereas This is just Europe, but with convenient dots of reds so that the various European powers will have something to fight against. Kinda disappointing, honestly. But hey, again, seeing as this is a setting that considers me to be its active enemy and would rather side with child predators and people who think that they are actually unironically evil and racist, shrug, I suppose. Until next time, I've been Arch. Thank you all very much for watching, and I do hope to see you all again soon. Till then, have a good day.